I froze the moment I saw him. Across the crowded street, leaning casually against a cafe wall, was a face I hadn't expected to see in years. My heart skipped. Memories hit me like a wave. Laughter in the rain, whispered promises, and the way his eyes seemed to know every part of me. I hadn't thought about him in a long time. Not really. Life had moved on, or at least I had convinced myself it had. But seeing him now, it was like the past had been waiting quietly, just for this moment. I turned away, pretending I hadn't noticed, but my hands shook. Why was he here? And more importantly, why was he looking at me? I ducked into a small shop across the street. My mind raced. He shouldn't be here. He was supposed to be halfway across the country, building the life he had promised me he'd start without me. Yet, there he was. Like fate itself had thrown him back into my life. Unannounced, unexpected, unavoidable. I tried to focus on something else. Anything else. The smell of fresh coffee, the soft hum of the shop's old radio. But every instinct in my body was screaming at me. Go. Talk to him. Run. Hide. Decide. Then I saw it. A folded piece of paper, almost invisible against the dark wood of the counter. It wasn't there before. My name was written across it in familiar handwriting. My breath caught. Hesitation battled curiosity, but curiosity won. I grabbed it, my fingers trembling. The note was short, simple, terrifying in its implication. Meet me where we first said goodbye. Midnight. Don't be late. Aichi. I blinked. My stomach twisted. That place. The place I had tried to erase from my memory. The place where everything had ended. My phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. I opened it with a mix of fear and anticipation. The words were even more shocking. I know what you did. I need to see you. It's about us. A chill ran down my spine. My chest tightened. My mind raced through the possibilities. Who knew? How did he find out? And what exactly was about us? I dropped the note into my bag, the paper crumpling slightly. Every instinct told me to ignore it. Walk away. Pretend I had never seen him. But something deeper pulled me forward. Something I couldn't name. I left the shop and walked back toward the street. The crowd seemed heavier now. Slower. My eyes scanned every face, every movement. And there he was again. Watching. Waiting. Smiling faintly, as if he already knew my secret. I froze once more. How could one person still have this power over me after all this time? And then I realized it wasn't just him. It was the secret I had buried so deep that even I had forgotten it. The one thing I never wanted anyone to know. The thing that could change everything. And as I turned the corner toward the place he had mentioned, my phone buzzed again. A photo this time. Just one image. My hands went icy cold as I stared. It was me. From years ago. Alone. Vulnerable. And someone had seen it. My heart pounded. My mind screamed. Questions collided with memories, with fear, with longing. And through it all, one thought refused to leave me. How much did he really know? I reached the empty street where we had first said goodbye. The night was quiet. Too quiet. Shadows stretched across the pavement, and the streetlight flickered above me. I checked my bag. The note. The photo. Everything. And then I heard the softest sound behind me. A voice I would never forget. I've been waiting for you. I spun around. He was closer than I expected. Calm. Certain. Like nothing had changed. That everything had. And in that moment, I realized the secret I thought was buried might no longer be mine alone. The night air was crisp. carrying the faint smell of rain on the pavement. He didn't move, just watched me with that same quiet intensity that had haunted my dreams. I wanted to speak, to demand answers, but the words caught in my throat. Instead, my mind drifted, pulling me back to the beginning, to how it all started. I first saw him in the park. I was sitting on a bench, sketchbook in my lap, trying to capture the way sunlight spilled through the trees. He was laughing with friends, tossing a frisbee, carefree and alive in a way that made my chest ache without knowing why. Then our eyes met, and the world shifted. A spark, instant and undeniable. "Hey," he had said, voice warm, as if he'd been waiting for me all along. I had laughed, nervously, trying to hide how my heart had jumped. "Hi." From that moment, it was like we fit together without even realizing it. Morning coffees that stretched into hours. Evening walks under streetlights. Whispered jokes in crowded rooms where no one else mattered. We didn't need words all the time. A glance was enough. And yet, it was the little things that stayed with me. How he remembered my favorite songs. The way he tucked my hair behind my ear. The soft certainty in his voice when he said, "I've got you." That life had a way of slipping in between us. I remember the first argument, small and almost laughable now. I had been late meeting him at the cafe. He had waited, pacing, worried, and I had shrugged it off. "It's just 10 minutes, I had said, brushing off his concern. But his eyes had darkened. "It's not just about 10 minutes, he had said. "It's about you not trusting me enough to care." It wasn't long after that the distance started creeping in. He moved for work, and I stayed behind, caught up in my own life. Letters turned into texts, texts turned into missed calls turned into silence. I told myself we were just busy. He told himself the same. But every day the silence grew louder. I remembered the last time we met before the years fell between us. The park was empty that day, clouds heavy and grey. I had tried to explain, to hold on, but he had shook his head. "I don't know if we can keep doing this," he said, voice low. "I need space." And I had let him go. Not out of anger, not out of spite, but out of love. The kind of love that sacrifices itself quietly. But tonight, seeing him again, the years melted away. He stepped closer, and for a moment, I almost believed nothing had changed. "I didn't think you'd come," he said softly, eyes scanning mine for some sign, some acknowledgement of the past. "I didn't think I should," I admitted. "But I had to see. I had to understand why." He nodded, the corners of his mouth twitching like a memory. Half smile, half sadness. "I've replayed that day 1,000 times, he whispered. "I wish I'd said something different." I swallowed hard, feeling the old ache, the one I had buried deep, rise again. "We both made mistakes," I said. "But maybe that's why we're here now." Then, without warning, he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small envelope, similar to the one that had brought me here. My hands froze. "I found this the day after we parted," he said, voice low. "I never sent it. I couldn't." I took it from him, fingers trembling. Inside was a note, folded carefully, the edges worn with time. I opened it and my heart stopped. It wasn't a confession. It wasn't an apology. It was a memory I had long forgotten. A ticket to a music festival, the first place we had gone together, the day he had whispered, "No matter what happens, promise me we'll always remember this." I looked up at him, disbelief in my eyes. You never sent this." He shook his head. "I wanted to, but I thought, maybe you'd moved on. Maybe you didn't want it anymore." And in that instant, the truth hit me like lightning. All those years of silence, of misunderstanding, of distance. They hadn't been because we didn't care. They had been because neither of us had the courage to speak the words that mattered most. I clutched the ticket to my chest, feeling a rush of warmth and sorrow at the same time. The past hadn't been lost. It had been waiting quietly for us to find it again. But just as I looked up to meet his eyes, the faintest sound of a message pinged on my phone. A notification from an unknown number. I opened it, and my heart sank. It was a photo of both of us at the festival years ago, that someone had circled us and written beneath it, "You two were never supposed to meet again." The cafe was nearly empty when I walked in. Rain streaked the windows, blurring the street outside. And there he was, sitting in the corner, hands wrapped around a steaming cup of coffee. He looked up, and for a moment, everything stopped. The rain, the hum of the espresso machine, the soft chatter around us. It was just him, and the years that had stretched between us. "Hey," he said, voice quiet but steady. "Hi," I replied, trying to sound casual, though my throat felt tight. He motioned to the seat across from him. I hesitated, then slid into the chair. The smell of coffee mixed with the faint scent I remembered from years ago. Cologne. Rain. A hint of something sweet I could never name. "I didn't expect you to come," he said, eyes studying me as if trying to read every change, every memory etched into my face. "I almost didn't," I admitted. "But I needed answers." He nodded slowly. "I guess I did too." The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable. It was necessary. We hadn't spoken in years, but the weight of unspoken things hung between us like a thick fog. "You look different," he finally said, a soft smile tugging at his lips. "Not just older, stronger." I laughed lightly. "You look the same, like you didn't age a day." He chuckled, but it didn't reach his eyes. There was something behind them, a hint of regret, of longing, of things unsaid. "I kept thinking about that festival," he said suddenly, voice low. "The one from the letter. That day." I nodded, heart fluttering. "I kept thinking about it too. About us." "Us," he repeated, almost like tasting the word after years. His fingers drummed lightly on the table. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if..." "If what?" I asked, voice barely audible. "If I had said the right thing. If I hadn't let you go." I swallowed. The words I had carried all these years hovered just out of reach. "I wonder that every day," I admitted. He looked down, then back at me, eyes dark and honest. I shouldn't have let the silence grow between us. I should have fought. "But I thought you didn't want me to." And his voice faltered. "I was afraid. I was afraid too," I whispered. "Afraid of losing what we had. Afraid of being hurt again. So I let it go too." We sat in quiet, watching the rain tap softly against the windows. For a moment, it felt like nothing had changed, like time had folded in on itself, bringing us back to the way we used to be. But then, a soft ping from his phone broke the spell. He glanced at it and frowned. "That's strange." I noticed the screen, a message from an unknown number. He opened it, and his eyes widened. I leaned in. The message contained a single sentence. "You don't belong here. Not together." I felt a chill. "Who would send that?" I asked, though I had no answer. "I don't know," he said, voice tight. "But it doesn't matter right now. What matters is us. What matters is that we're here." I looked at him, really looked, and for the first time in years I let myself feel the old warmth, the old certainty, the one that had drawn me to him in the first place. "I've missed you," I said, the words rushing out before I could stop them. His hand brushed mine across the table, tentative, almost trembling. "I've missed you too," he admitted. His eyes searched mine for permission, for understanding, for something I wasn't sure I could give yet. A soft smile broke across his face, and it was as if the years of distance had dissolved in an instant. "We have time now," he said. "We can fix what went wrong, if you want." I hesitated, the weight of the past pressing against the hope of the present. I don't know if I'm ready, but I want to try." He nodded, squeezing my hand gently. "That's all I need. Just to try, together." The rain outside slowed, and the cafe felt warmer, smaller, like a world made just for us. I let out a long breath, feeling the knot in my chest loosen, even if just a little. Then he leaned closer, eyes soft but serious. "There's something else," he said. "Something I never told you back then. Something I need you to know before we go any further." I froze. My heart skipped. "What is it?" He hesitated, as if weighing whether to speak. Then finally, almost in a whisper, "I never stopped believing in us. Not once. And I think I've loved you this whole time." The words landed like a spark, igniting a mix of fear, hope, and longing I hadn't felt in years. I wanted to speak, to reply, to tell him I felt the same. But the cafe seemed to fade around us, leaving just the two of us, suspended in a fragile, electric moment. And in that instant I realized the choice was mine. To step forward, to embrace the possibility, or to let the past hold me back once more. We left the cafe and walked in silence, rain now a soft drizzle around us. The streetlights reflected on the wet pavement, turning every puddle into a mirror of the past. My hand brushed against his, and I didn't pull away. "Not yet. I need to tell you something," he said finally, voice low and steady. "Something I should have told you years ago." I nodded. "I need to hear it," I whispered. Though my heart pounded. He stopped under a flickering lamp, the droplets clinging to his hair. "It wasn't distance that made us drift apart," he began. "It was me. I wasn't honest. I let fear decide for me." "What do you mean?" I asked, though a sinking feeling already settled in my chest. I thought I was protecting you," he said, looking down at his hands. "The day I left, I saw something, a choice you made. Something I didn't understand at the time. I judged it without listening. I thought you'd be hurt if you knew I knew. So I stayed silent. I walked away instead." My chest tightened. The words were calm, measured, but every one of them cut deeper than I expected. "You judged me?" I asked softly, without even asking. He nodded, shame in his eyes. "I made a mistake. A huge one. I let my assumptions take over. I didn't trust you to explain yourself, and I let that silence grow into years." I swallowed hard, feeling a mix of anger, relief, and sorrow. "So all this time, you thought I'd done something wrong, and that's why you left?" He nodded again. "Yes, and I hated myself for it every single day. I kept thinking I'd find the right moment to tell you, but every moment felt too late. And then life went on. Or so I thought." I took a deep breath. The rain softened around us, a quiet backdrop to the truth spilling between us. "I didn't know," I admitted. I thought you didn't care anymore, that you moved on." "I never moved on," he said simply, looking directly into my eyes. "Not truly. I thought I could, but everything reminded me of you. Every song, every street, every random moment. It all brought me back to you." The calm honesty of it hit me like a wave. The years of pain, the misunderstandings, the nights I cried myself to sleep thinking we were lost. It all condensed into this single moment. I was angry, I confessed, voice trembling slightly. Angry that you didn't trust me. Angry that you let fear decide for both of us. And I missed you more than I could ever say. He reached for my hand. I missed you too. Every day. And I'm sorry. For leaving, for doubting you, for letting silence win. I should have talked. I should have trusted. I should have stayed. I felt tears prick my eyes, but I didn't wipe them away. The rain mingled with them, a quiet cleansing. So, everything that happened, it wasn't what I thought. No, he said softly. It wasn't, it was me. And I'm hoping we can find our way back. If you'll let me. I looked at him, really looked, at the man who had been both my past and my longing. The ache in my chest, the hope rising in my heart. It was all tangled together. Then he pulled something from his pocket, a small folded note. There's one more thing, he said, hesitating. Something I discovered recently. Something you need to know. I took it with shaking hands. The paper was old, worn at the edges, but the words were clear. I've always loved you. I never wanted to let you go. You were meant for me. I blinked. This was written years ago. He nodded. I wrote it after we first drifted apart. I never sent it. I thought, maybe it was too much. Maybe you wouldn't understand. My heart raced. Every piece of the past, every misunderstanding, every silence, suddenly made sense. The distance hadn't been about betrayal or mistakes on my part. It had been fear, assumptions, and words left unsaid. But before I could speak, before I could say anything at all, my phone buzzed. A notification. Unknown number. I opened it. And froze. It was a photo of both of us, from years ago, together at the festival. But someone had circled us, and beneath it were words that made my stomach drop. They can't be together. You don't know what's coming. I looked up at him, and his face mirrored my shock. Someone's watching us, he whispered. The rain fell harder now, soaking through our clothes. Our hands were still clasped, but the warmth we had just found now felt fragile. Threatened. I realized in that instant that even with the truth finally out, our path forward wouldn't be simple. And yet, I couldn't pull away. Not now. Because the secret that had kept us apart was gone. But the danger, the unknown force, had just arrived. The rain had finally stopped, leaving the streets glistening in the soft glow of the streetlights. We stood there, side by side, hearts still pounding from the revelation, the photo, the warning. For a moment everything felt suspended, like the world had pressed pause just for us. I can't believe it, I whispered, still holding the note he had written years ago. All this time we were both afraid to speak. He nodded, eyes reflecting the shimmering streetlights. We let fear and silence decide for us. But now, we know the truth, and we can choose differently. I took a deep breath, letting the tension leave my body in a slow exhale. I forgive you, I said quietly, for everything. And I hope you can forgive me too. I do, he replied, his voice firm, warm. I've carried the regret too long. I'm done letting it weigh me down. The street felt quieter now, softer, as if the world around us had noticed the shift. We started walking slowly, no destination in mind, just moving forward together. Each step was lighter than the last. Each word, each glance, was filled with the understanding we had longed for but never spoken aloud. Do you remember the lake? I asked, a smile tugging at my lips. The place where we used to meet on summer nights. He chuckled softly. I do. I thought about it often. It always felt, ours, like nothing else existed there. Then let's go, I said, excitement mixing with nostalgia. Just one last time. The walk was quiet, but not heavy. The silence between us was gentle, comforting, like the calm after a storm. When we reached the lake, the water reflected the night sky, still and perfect. We sat on the old wooden dock, side by side, letting the memories wash over us without words. I never stopped believing in us, he said finally, voice barely above a whisper. Even when I thought it was too late. I never stopped either, I admitted, letting the truth settle between us. Even in the darkest moments, I held on to the hope that somehow we'd find our way back. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small envelope, identical to the one he had given me before. I found this today, he said. It was tucked away in an old drawer unopened. I think it's time you see it. I took it, curious and cautious. Inside was a letter I hadn't expected. My own handwriting from years ago. Words I had written but never sent. If you ever come back, if fate ever allows, know that my heart has never left yours. I'll wait for you. Always. Tears blurred my vision. I had written those words long ago, in a moment of quiet hope, never thinking they would find their way back to me. And now, here they were. A bridge from the past to the present, proof that our love had endured every silence, every misunderstanding, every obstacle. He took my hand again, holding it gently, firmly. We made it, he said. Despite everything, we made it back to each other. I rested my head against his shoulder, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. The fear, the tension, the doubts, they were gone, replaced by something stronger, something quiet but unshakable. Let's not waste another day, I whispered. Let's promise to speak, to trust, to hold on. He smiled, a full, genuine smile that reached his eyes. I promise. No more silence. No more fear. We sat there for a long while, watching the water shimmer, the world around us alive and bright. And then, as if the universe wanted to mark the moment, a single leaf drifted down from a nearby tree, landing softly between our hands. We laughed softly at the perfect timing, the small symbol of life renewal, and the enduring nature of love. And as we stood to leave, walking back toward the city lights with hands intertwined, I felt a quiet certainty settle in my chest. The past had tested us. The secrets had challenged us. But the truth, the honesty, and the love that never faded had brought us to this moment. I glanced at him, and he caught my gaze, a shared understanding passing between us. In that look, no words were needed. We had survived the silence, the distance and the fear. And now, together, we were free. The rain had ended. The night was calm. And in that calm, I realized something that made my heart swell. Some truths, some loves are meant to return, perfectly, inevitably, and beautifully. And for the first time in years, I felt whole.